welcome to Joe's Java Studio. Today we'll be going over how to implement custom ID generation with JDBC and JPA and how that affects the performance of the repositories. So here we have an old JDBC application that from our previous videos. And here, let's see, what we're doing in the schema file is we're just dropping the table and creating a new one each time the application runs. So if we send a save operation with a new customer with ID null, it'll assume that this customer row is going to be a new one. So it's going to generate, Spring Data is going to generate an ID and insert it into the table. So let's go ahead and take a look. So here we see that it's inserting into customer table and the other tables with foreign keys. So if we select from customer, we see that ID1 customer is created. But let's say we want to create a new customer with ID2. This is not going to work because JDBC will assume this is not a new customer and it'll try to look for a customer with ID2 and update that row. So if you look here in the logs, we see that this update equal statement is being run. And it's trying to look for where the ID is 2. And the error says ID 2 not found in database. So how do we implement a custom ID generation, or if you want to assign it to whatever you want to? The way to do that is to add a version column. So in our schema file, we will go ahead and add version. Version, it can be serial for this video. And then to the customer record, we'll add a version column as well. And then for version, we're going to send null. When version is null, Spring Data will also assume that this is a new entry. Instead of looking for something with ID equals 2, because version is null, it'll look for something. It won't look for this ID in the database. So if we go ahead and run it, it should work. Yep. And we should be able to see a customer with ID 2. All right. So now let's exit that and see what happens in Spring Data JPA if we do that. So here I have a simple JPA application. All we're trying to do here is add a new account with a custom ID. Okay, so we'll find out that JPA does let you create custom IDs, but it will affect the performance all depending on the size of your table and database, but it will affect the performance. So let's go ahead and see how it affects it. Okay. So if we go ahead and run this application, we see that JPA, like JDBC, is trying to look for an account with ID equals John Doe, and because it doesn't exist, it'll insert into account this entry or row. But if the application or you, the developer, knows that this is a new account, then you don't want to necessarily run this query. It's just an extra query that you're running. So here we'll do the same thing. We'll add a version entity. And because in our properties, oops, delete that. Under properties, the DDL auto is create. A new table will be created with a version column. So if we go ahead and run that, this select should be gone. So now we see that the select statement is gone because when you create a new account, we're not setting the version. So the version is null and string data assumes that this is a new entry. Now it just inserts a new row to the table. And that's it. Whenever you implement custom ID generation in JDBC or JPA, you should always consider using or creating a version column, as it also improves the performance in JPA. Thanks for watching.